Clinton Fearon, what's up? How you doing?
Hi, Joel. I'm doing great, man. Yourself?
I'm great too. It's such an honor to, meet you. And I know you're based out of, I believe, Washington. So how's the COVID
Yes.
situation been
Seattle,
for you?
Seattle, Washington. Yeah.
Seattle. Okay.
Yeah. It's not easy, man, because it keeps going up, in numbers, and we hope that it goes down more so than going up,
Yeah.
but we're hanging in there, and a day at a time, and hope that the professionals do their job, and hope that the rest of us follow the protocol and take care. You know what I mean? So we can get better in the end.
You've been pretty busy, man, because I follow you on social media and you're always performing. You're doing like live streams. You're always going on live chats with people too. I noticed that. So you've been keeping pretty busy on everything.
Yeah. And that's part of keeping sane during the pandemic too, and things like that. And for new ventures, just based on the fact that we're not doing live shows anymore, and that's how we survive both physically and spiritually. So the live help in both ways.
In addition to keeping busy with that, I mean, you recently came out with a music video where you were filming at Vashon Island. So what made you want
Yeah.
to film over there?
Bashan is just a beautiful place, and wonderful people. We always fantasize. My wife and I, we fantasize about living over there. We just don't get to do that yet. We don't know if we will, but we always fantasize of living over there. It's just a beautiful place, and people over there so irie,
Oh
and
yeah.
that was basically the gist of it.
Seattle's a nice area, especially that island too. And so I'm curious because I mean, you're from Jamaica. So what made you want to do that permanent move from Jamaica all the way to Seattle, Washington?
Oh, it wasn't like planned. It's when we tour as Gladiators in '87, we you know we stop over for like 6 7 weeks and develop a good following. Went back to Jamaica. The drummer died. Then lull things for a bit. We came back. Anyway, we put things together. Came back in '89, and then from there on, I've been here, and basically is my guitarist went down, and on his way back there put a X, a big red X in his passport saying he's spending more time in the US than spending here. So
Oh,
I took the opportunity to file for my papers, which took longer time than I anticipated. And then by the time I got my papers, I already grew some roots, which was hard to root up and move. And the longer I stay, the deeper the roots get. And here I am still. That's kind of it in a nutshell.
yeah. What's your favorite thing about Seattle?
Oh, it's fresh. It's fresh, and it seemed to me like one of the city that is, in some way, in a lot of ways, easier to live than other cities. It is speedy, but not too speedy. You know what I mean? Like I say again, it's fresh around. We used to saying used to tour quite a bit. Before the pandemic, we were all over the place. And each time we came back, it's like, oh yeah, wow, yeah, it smells good. Feels good, smells good. The fresh air. So all of that, you know what I mean? And we have some good friends around here and fans that really support what I do.
Since you perform a lot acoustically, do you do a lot of acoustic sessions? Like, I mean, before the pandemic, did you do a lot of acoustic sessions within Seattle?
Not a whole bunch, but quite a few. Quite a few. Actually, quite a few. Come to think of it,
Hmm.
I did quite a few. Um, but we did a lot with the band too as well. We kind of split the load some. Depends on who the request is.
Yeah,
Depends on the request is too. Right.
yeah. And I mean, I've seen you do a lot of acoustic stuff on social media and you go live a lot, and including so that you actually have a partnership with Rootfire TV where you've been doing some live streams, actually, and some really great live stream performances. So, how did that partnership happen?
That partnership happened based on some friends from back east, Giant Panda, who we did a tour with, who we end up touring with the movements, and the movements are fully connected with root fire, and and so we get connected there with the movements, and us became friends, and everything kind of take
Oh, yeah.
time twined together. Right, right,
Oh, yeah.
right.
And that's cool that you actually came out with a single with the movement. So that's awesome. I love that you're definitely working or collaborating with some modern reggae musicians, especially here in the stateside. So I just find it awesome that you're really like open-minded to collaborate with a lot of other musicians.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. And we also talking about collaborations. As you know, we just came out with the new single "Fix It."
Yeah, yeah,
You know, right? And then there is a collaboration that is released December 4th. From Brazil. Reggae called reggae Juntino means reggae together, right?
yeah,
And it's a combination with a Brazilian band, Vibracos, and Lucas Castro. And this one should be released in December 4th. And then the movements there from back in September 4th, and more things keep coming, more
oh yeah,
things keep coming. You know what I mean? So I'm more busy than I thought I would.
oh yeah,
you know but it's all good because it's keeping a breath, and it's also linking and kind of a different approach to how we do it. Because, we're not doing gigs anymore, which kind of keep you in your zone, in a repetitive kind of way. You know what I mean? This way we have to break out and try something new each time. And and it's hard work, but the redress, the comeback is good.
oh yeah. Right. You mentioned that you've been keeping busy, and probably this is the busiest that I've ever seen you. And recently, I think had some live streams already. So, are you planning any more live streams coming up?
Yeah, there are live streams coming up. Actually, every other Sunday, we do a Sunday with Clinton Fearon. You know, and which can be, you can watch that one. You watch that one on Facebook.
Oh yeah,
You know, we have talk with a friend every other Wednesday. You know, and that's about it so far. But I don't know what's coming next after after those. With in addition to what we already doing.
it's like almost every week I've been seeing that there's something posted that you're either performing or you're going live, or you. I mean, you mentioned the Clinton Fearon Talks with Friends series, which I really enjoy. Watching you
Oh,
interview
thank
with
you,
other
thank
people, and you also you open up with a
you.
performance, which is really cool. So, what got you into working on that series?
Well, I tell you what, my wife was a journalist before we working together. She was a journalist, so she come on board with her journalistic
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean,
oh
powers, for lack of better word. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And when the gigs fell apart, tours that set up and things like that, or creative juice chips in, and and I was right there to say, hey, yes, 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 let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Yes, let's do it. Yes, let's do it. You know what I mean.
yeah.
And here we are doing several things. Sometimes it's hard to keep up, but it feels good, so I'm keeping up.
But no, it's awesome
Uh,
that you can add like show hosts to your resume with this series. And you mentioned that your wife's involvement with it. So, in what ways has she really helped you out with the series? Is she helping you out with like questions? How has
it's,
she been
it's,
involved?
yeah, with organizing and with specific question and answers, and little guides of how to do. And because I'm just a musician, I'm a musician. Write some songs and musicians. That's my forte. You know. I'm not a speaker or a podcaster or anything like
Yeah,
that. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
she is my big help where that side of it is concerned.
yeah.
You know, right, right, which I am totally grateful.
Right. And I mean,
And
people can see your interviews on your Instagram, which you're really active on your social media, especially your Instagram. And it's really impressive how how you work your Instagram and how you engage with your followers and fans. So, how are you able to be so active on all your social media?
well, I know it's a determination too, determination, and I love what I do, and I don't want to stop doing what I do, and so whenever or whoever the opportunity comes to do something, say something, I'm right there to jump at the opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And because I have fans and friends and things like that, we tap into those fans and friends and, hey, let's talk. That's why talk with a friend work. That's why a Sunday with Clinton Fearon works too as well. You know what I mean? It's a feeding for us all, I think, And so, like I was saying earlier on, it is tiresome and it's hard work,
Right.
and it's just the troubles here. You know what I mean? So it's really hard work, but the redress is good.
Oh,
The
yeah.
comeback is good. So what you put in is what you get. You know.
That's cool that you're very determined. I mean, obviously, I found out that you've been determined in your musical career at such an early age that I've heard that you actually made your first guitar when you were a child. Just to, I guess, to try to convince your dad that you were trying to convince him to get you a guitar, and in which you made one yourself. So, why were you so determined to playing music at such an early age?
Well, I kind of love music from as far back as I can remember. So, but it all really digging deep when I saw the Scatterlights in Kingston at the stadium. I was 9 years old. When I saw them, all the elementary schools in Jamaica met. At the stadium in Kingston for a big function, and the Scatterlights were playing. First time I see a band play, and it's like, whoa, this is cool. And they were dancing, doing shadow boxing, you know what I mean, and playing music, and everybody having so much fun. And the whole audience in front of them were having so much fun. I was way up in the back, but I'm just observing the whole thing and
Oh
saying to
man.
myself, that is what I'm going to do.
Oh
I
wow.
am going to do that. And I never gave up that dream.
So, how'd you make the guitar?
I dig it dig the body and the neck out of a cedar trunk, like something that easy to work with,
Uh huh.
right. And then I get a piece of Solitex for the top. I use 6 inches nail. I had was to make my own tools too, so I use a 6 inches nail. Flatten it, the
Oh wow.
point of it, sharpen it, and use that for chisel. I use broken glass to shave the wood down after
Oh
I
wow.
shape out the thing with my machete and the knife, and you know what I mean. Some things I will break wire. I would break wires and then sharpen the point so I have a little bend to get into little corners I want to go. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, right. And then I end up playing the same guitar in church once, and there was a guy there that had a guitar, and he and my dad talked, and he told my dad that he's selling the guitar. So my dad checked me and said that we should go check him. We checked him, and he was selling the guitar for £13. So I worked with my dad. He gave me £9, and then another £2 make it 11, saying that, hey, okay, take this to the guy, and you got to find the other £2 to give him.
Oh yeah.
At the time I didn't have any money, so I still hold the guy £2. uh,
So, in a previous interview, I heard that the Boogie Brown brand is a brainchild of yours at very early in your career, and I mean, you came from
right,
having your band, the Boogie Brown band, but it also
right,
turned into a production company that you have to help produce your
right,
albums. So,
right,
how did
right.
that come from being a brainchild of yours to producing your own albums with that idea of yours?
Right. Well, the thing is, again, like talking about the brainchild, is like, um, a part of me. I grew up kind of rough, especially after moving from the country. And the country is rough, but a different kind of rough. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? I lived way in the woods with my dad after my stepmom left, and then me and my dad, we moved to far bush. Sometimes I don't see another person for 2 weeks, except for my dad. You know, sometimes, you know what I mean. So, eh, but I had nature. I had nature, which is a whole nother blessing there.
Oh
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Which is some of that is the feeding I'm getting until today. But when I moved to Kingston, it was really rough, you know. And I see myself as like it's like a 13-year-old kid, which is already 30 years old, based on certain experiences
Oh
and,
yeah.
and and certain way of surviving and thing like that. So the brainchild is like this 13-year-old, you know, who want to write about his life story, who is taking music for it instead of badness, because there was also badness that introduced in Kingston. Hey, you can't get a job, you can't do the hey, take up a gun and do like the rest are doing, or some of your cronies are doing. You know what I mean? But instead, the brainchild said, no, 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 I love music too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the whole idea is the band is the brainchild's band. You know what I mean? It's,
Yeah.
it's not, thus come the production company when they say, you know what? Because I've tried to have like record. I remember checking Cox and Dot,
Hmm.
when I first made Disturb the Devil. I think I sent him 11 copies, and say, hey, one is for you, and, see what you can do with the rest for me. And him kind of looked, oh, I see you, yeah, 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 I see, yeah, okay. Um, basically didn't think it would reach anywhere, just his response.
Yeah.
So, I just sad was to like, say, well, then, you know what, I'm gonna do it myself
Oh
from
yeah.
scratch. So sell the thing at the walk around, give it in record shops, you know, sell it at the gig, and one move on, one same way. Um, and just not giving up, and that's kind of Boogie Brown's motto, don't give up, don't give up, and do what you love, don't be sidetracked, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And that Disturb the Devil is a great album. I've gone through all your music, and your most recent album is the History Say album, which, from what I've looked at from all your albums that's been released, it's the first record that's out that you actually have artists featured on it. I haven't seen any other artists featured
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that song. So, why did you wait for this album to start having people to join in your music?
Well, again, the suggestions of my wife again, say, hey, you haven't done this, before. Maybe it's a good time to start doing this, to start do something or to do something like that. And of course, I jump on the idea because it's also it's a historical time. You know what I mean? And coming with the music for so long and things like that. Yes, it's time to it's probably the time to interject and intertwine and get some and give some, give some, get some. You know what I mean? And also because of the whole changes and the mood of what's going on. You know, the records not selling a whole bunch like it used to. Records not selling anymore. You know what I mean? So so you got to find ways of how to stay afloat. To stay afloat.
Mhm.
And I think as musicians and singers, the more we are together, I think is just the more we can we'll survive. You know, not to say that one can do something by themselves. I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But there are also times to collaborate and show that we as a community nevertheless, you know what I mean?
of
Even though
course.
we do single things, we do things single-handedly, you know what I mean? We also is a community.
It's great. And one person that you have featured on this History Say album is your daughter, who I've heard you mention before that you've been actually wanting to have her featured on your music for a long time now. So, and you've
Right,
had
right.
a few albums out before the History Say album now. So, why'd you wait until this album to finally have your daughter featured on?
Well, you know, it was just the right time. It was just the right time. She had her life, we had and her family to take care of, and we are far apart, in terms of distance and thing. And then it happened that she visit for the first time, and it's like take the opportunity to use that opportunity to do something with her, and then end up touring together too, uh, one one and one make two, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't know what will happen in the future, but kind of never know, we just kind of plant the seed and watch it grow.
Oh, yeah. Maybe you all can have an album out together or something. That'll be cool.
Who knows? Who
Oh,
knows?
yeah.
That would be cool. You're right.
Continuing on about having artists featured on your music, are there any musicians out there that are no longer living that you wish you could have featured on your songs?
Hmm, you know, this is a big dream, but Ray Charles is one of them.
Ah,
Yeah, Ray Charles, one of them. Ray Charles hitting the beat, just the soul. This is a raw soul there. Similar like Mahalia Jackson. I don't know if you know of Mahalia Jackson, who she was a gospel singer,
okay.
but it's the same kind of hit. She's from a long time ago. You know, I was a kid then when she was popular, and still doing it. She was one. If I could turn back the hands of time, you know what I mean? I say,
Yeah.
and can afford it and do it, yeah, she would be one. Just for the God, man. There's a heartfelt, you know, who again, Dan Drummond from Jamaica there,
Uh-huh.
you know, Slim Smith,
Mm.
singer, used to be in the techniques, you know, uh, yeah, there are a few, there are quite a few there if
Yeah.
if my memory would come quick enough.
And I mean, you mentioned earlier about like having a song with the movement, which you were collaborating with. So, any modern musicians you would like to maybe either have them feature on your songs or you feature on theirs?
Oh, I haven't really thought about it much. The kind of roll with the punch, and if the vibe come and feel right, yeah, we do it. You
Oh,
know
yeah.
what I mean? That kind of way. That kind of way.
And one album that I really enjoyed listening to was actually Faculty of Dub, which is a little different from your other albums because it's an all instrumental album just focusing on dub music. So, what's the
Right.
reason why you made that album and different from your other albums?
Well, it's just because I never do a dub album before, and actually, no, well, I did a double album, which is what a system,
Hmm.
what a system, and it have the dub side. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
And right, and a lot of people love that album, but to re to repress, it costs too much to repress because it's double. you know. And I always kind of want to come with something each time, something kind of fresh. And I always never have as much money to do both.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So figure it was time to do have another dub out there. So it was the time to slice faculty of dub in there, that and in the same breath don't cost us too much,
Oh
you
yeah.
know. Cost us still, but not too much. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
And it's also a new project in terms of a dub album. You know.
Yeah, that's cool. And I like the cover art. I think it's a picture of you in front of a chalkboard, I guess teaching dub music.
Yeah, and it's a fan from Seattle here. I think his
Oh,
name is
okay.
John Robert. John Robert. He did the cover for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah. Wonderful man. I always grateful.
Speaking of in dub music, there's one artist that's really big on dub music, a legend is Lee Scratch Perry, which I've heard you say he's given you some helpful advice. So do you mind sharing what that was?
Yeah, when I did a song for him, I think it was Untrue Girl. I did Untrue Girl for him, and when 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 I was voicing it, you know, he turned on all the lights in the studio. So the studio was highly bright. He said,
Hmm.
"Scratch, turn off some of the light, man. No, man, get used to it." So that one was one good advice, because after I started to tour and do gigs and things like that,
Oh yeah.
that the light that he shines in the studio
Oh yeah.
was minimal to what on stage, you know what I mean? So,
Oh,
I see what he was talking
oh
about.
yeah.
But he saw that I was like shy and thing like that, and don't want to take the forefront. So uh, he was kind of trying to bring me out of my shell, and also, because like I said, I spent like about 6 months over there, like straight, almost every day, playing for different artists. That's bass, playing for different artists and with different musicians. So I got a lot of experience there by playing with different musicians and for playing for different artists, different tastes and different feels and things like that. And when it comes to percussions, sometimes when everyone is gone and Scratch and I left around there, uh, and he would put a rhythm on and say, "Hey, Bessie, come help me put something on here," And he would be playing something and I'm playing something, and sometimes somebody else would be in the studio. Sometimes it's his son, you know. I can't remember if my wife at the time, Pauline, if she did some of that too. I can't remember. But we were in the studio, it was, once it called for it,
Hmm.
we would all have a piece of percussion and we have a part that we play, and sometimes it's a pang, you just the pang and you wait till your time come round again, pam, pang, but and the next person, pang, tick tock, ticky tick, pang, pang, tick tock, tock, ticky tick, tick, pang, tick tock, tock. And you
Oh yeah.
have that rhythm in
Oh yeah.
percussion going straight through the song. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So until today, I still use up some of that tactics when I'm playing percussion on
Oh
my own
wow.
stuff or for somebody else.
That guy's wise.
Yeah, it's something else.
Well, Clinton, we're at a recurring segment in this podcast called Words of Wisdom. So this question is, share with us a quote you live by and tell us why.
Oh, the one that I go for is to do what you love what you do. That's the one I go for, and I think happiness starts there. I also think that, freedom in the true sense of the word starts there too, because, with your, when you're doing what you love, whether you're making shoes, being a carpenter, a politician, whatever it is that you really love, and you go for it,
Oh yeah.
then, it's a release. It's a release, so there's a feeling of freedom. Whether you're getting rich from the thing or not, it doesn't matter. It's what
Oh
you
yeah.
love. You know what I mean? Okay. If you love journalism, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, it's not an easy work,
Oh
but
yeah.
you love it. And so then you enjoy it. And it's also, I found out that it's also harder for someone to have you do something wrong, like do their wrongs for them, because
Yeah.
they don't have any. Oftentimes, people don't have anything to do, you know, do other people's wrong for them. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Because it's something to do, But if you have something to do, something that you love to do, it's hard for someone come turn you away from that.
Yeah.
It have to be something really good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Great. Well, thank you for sharing that. Since we're wrapping up, is there anything you want to share with our listeners?
Oh man, it's just what I said a while ago. If you're not doing what you love and loving what you do, it's not too late to start.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah. So
Appreciate this conversation and this Irie chat. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while, so it's such an honor to get a chance to talk to like a legend yourself. Appreciate this from the bottom of my heart. But Clinton Fearon,
I,
thank you so much for joining us in Irie chat, and best of luck on everything.
you're most welcome, Joel. Yeah, man. Continue doing what you love, man.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right. Cool, cool.
Cool.